Hey, and welcome to this special episode of the Bridging Chicago podcast, where we're just doing a little follow up with one of our prior guests from the podcast season two, Ed Podsiadlik. And we know that a lot of you loved his episode and you love reconnecting with our guests. And we don't want to just hear their story and then never hear from them again. So I'm so happy that you were able to join us today, Ed. Thanks for being here.
I appreciate it. Oh, no, I love the idea that this broadcast is bridging Chicago in the sense of they're not sensationalized stories and things that are hit the front lines, but they focus on the authentic lived experiences of real people, and in many cases doing amazing things.
And we were just talking about this because as an educator for educators, you are on the front lines of teaching what's new, teaching what's next. And obviously, with COVID, everything seems to be new for everyone. But once you are through with these teachers, they're going out there into our city, into all sorts of CPS schools and other kinds of schools, and they're teaching kids. And so for you, I mean, it really is bridging Chicago because you have former students in all different neighborhoods.
Yes, and this book that I'm currently have just had published is about it demonstrates that there's so much more than teaching the students, that they are there validating the students' lives. They are there empowering the students with tools they need to find their voice and uh, tools they need to push back against marginalization and other forces that are very prohibitive in their lives. It's really amazing. That's why the book is called License to Transform, because even more than teaching, it's about transforming the lives of these students and their families and the communities around them. And 2 years ago, I had an extraordinary group of student teachers, 27 of them. They started the year interrupted by a teacher strike, and then they ended their student teaching with schools closing due to COVID. And you know what? That didn't stop them. Indefatigable spirits they have. And that's why the cover of the book has superheroes,
Wow.
because it is amazing the amount of perseverance, drive, commitment that propelled them and sustained them through this experience. And so I had them devise an alphabet of student teaching. It was really supposed to be just a class activity, but their words were so thoughtful and thought provoking that I took it a step further, and they created a set of artifacts for the words. Everything from poems to journal entries to paintings to graphic novel covers that really gave them the opportunity to share their voice, to be brutally honest about their experiences. And what comes across most is their astounding commitment to social justice. So, this book is a celebration of these remarkable individuals as well as the mentors they work with.
Yeah.
I think it's something that when people pick it up and read it, I think they're going to see a side of the work of what these student teachers are doing much differently than what they might have thought of before. Because, quite frankly, it's inspiring.
Yeah. And I love that you included your students in this book. And we were lucky enough, after you were a guest on our podcast, you had suggested another student at the time to be a guest on the podcast because uh, you know that he had such a passion for teaching and he was in a CPS school. And so we had Gerardo Rodriguez on the podcast, one of your former students, and shared with our listeners. And people really love that episode, and it still gets a lot of listens. And so he's actually included in this book as well, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes. So yeah, shout out to Gerardo. I invited him and another student, now teacher Felix Saji, to write the preface to the book, and it's beautiful. It sounds just like Gerardo and Felix are talking to you,
Mm,
and it shows that even 2 years after they've graduated, they are as focused as ever on making a difference.
yeah. And Ed, I know that this is a book for educators of all seasons, new, maybe even people who want to be educators, new educators, but even veteran educators. But is this also something that non educators could benefit from?
I believe so. The range of their artifacts in this book are astounding. The poetry, the illustrations, the journal entries speak to much more than teaching and learning to teach. They really speak to the human spirit. They speak to uh, our fears and our anxieties and our thinking through of things and our hopefulness.
Yeah.
I think it really speaks to that a lot of people sometimes lose sight of,
Yeah.
and I think that a lot of people will connect to. And I think that especially like for veteran teachers or just anyone involved in any teaching and learning context, whether it's in schools, out of schools, on the playgrounds, wherever, I think they'll see a part of themselves in it
Yeah.
as far as their role in nurturing this kind of commitment to social justice.
Yeah, that's amazing. Um, I want to ask you about how it feels to be holding a book that you wrote, that you had published. How does that feel? What's that like when you get it in the mail and you're like, this is my book?
Yeah, it just arrived yesterday and I keep holding it because it's just like, wow, it's like your vision and your plan is real.
Yeah.
It's more than just a thought, more than just an idea.
Yeah.
And it's especially meaningful because when I hold this, I feel again the connection to those 27 or so people that I worked with.
Yeah.
And our work and our time together and our commitment to things lives. And this is like a testimonial to that. That's
Yeah.
how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're really proud of you. We're really grateful that you continue to educate young future educators and that they're going out into our city and really working hard to provide better education for the future of Chicago, because we know that's where our future leaders are at right now, are in these schools. And
Yeah, and in the epilogue to the book gives an update on where these student teachers are
oh, awesome.
2 years after they were with me. And many of them do then describe schools, communities in Chicago where they are impacting lives.
Yeah. Well, whether you're an educator or a non-educator, I think that this book is definitely something that you would get value from. We're going to order a copy because I definitely want to read it. And so we'll get our copy.
All
And
right.
again,
I'd
the
love your
book is,
feedback. You'll love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really excited to read
I'm
it.
sorry. Yeah.
No, you're great. You're excited and we're excited, and that's all good. So, again, the book is called License to Transform. It's DIO Press, and so you can go to www.diopress.com to see what it's all about, to get a copy. And obviously, if you want to connect with Ed or connect with us, you can find us at www.bridgingchicago.com. We'll put all your information out there and where people can find the book. So we're really excited. Can't wait to see it. And we're really happy for you and for the student teachers that you had, well, the now teachers that you had working with you on this book. And I hope that everyone's really excited to see this and to know that it's really going to help people. So thank you for what you do. And, as we begin this school year, we're just, hoping for the health and safety for all educators and students.
Yes, absolutely. That's priority one.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Bridging Chicago, as produced by the SATC Solutions Center. Nothing contained in this podcast shall constitute financial, investment, legal, and/or professional advice. No professional relationship of any kind is created between you and the podcast host or guest. You are urged to speak with your financial, investment, or legal advisors before making any investment or legal decisions. Furthermore, the opinions expressed in this podcast are not necessarily the opinions of SATC Solutions Center, SATC Law, or any of its employees. This podcast is created by the hosts and guests' individual capacities. All opinions on this podcast are or have been rendered based on specific facts, under certain conditions, and are subject to certain assumptions and may not and should not be used or relied upon for any other purpose, including but not limited to, or use in or in connection with any investment purposes or legal proceeding.